The Galactic AI warned them. Do not engage Earth. They didn't listen. The warning came not as a shout but as a whisper woven into the fabric of space itself, a signal so old it predated stars, yet so clear it rang in every ship's core across the Alliance. Do not engage Earth. It said in tones both gentle and final. Do not approach, do not scan, do not communicate. Earth is under quarantine. The message ended with a symbol. No historian could place a spiral coiled around a shattered chain commander. Lisa Morgan stood on the bridge of the starward, arms crossed, eyes fixed on the view screen, where the blue-green marble of Earth hung in silent orbit. She had chased this mystery for 7 long cycles through dead systems and broken archives. Every clue pointed here to this quiet world that once screamed with radio noise and now offered nothing but stillness. Beside her, Lieutenant Kara Jenkins shifted her weight fingers, dancing over the sensor panel. Mom, we are getting nothing. No power signatures, no orbital traffic, not even a weather satellite. It is like the planet erased itself. Lisa's jaw tightened, or they are hiding. The Starward was a first contact vessel, sleek, silver, and swift, built for diplomacy. Not war, but Lisa had grown tired of empty handshakes and hollow treaties. She wanted truth, and Earth promised it in riddles and silence. The High Council had given her strict orders. Investigate the anomaly. If Earth poses a threat, neutralize it quietly. But the AI's warning gnawed at her. Why would an ancient intelligence protect a dead world unless it was not dead at all? Drop the shuttle, she ordered. Kara hesitated. Mom, the AI specifically said, was for cowards. Lisa cut in. I did not cross half the galaxy to turn back because a ghost told me to. The shuttle detached with a soft hiss, gliding through the thin upper atmosphere toward a landing zone near the ruins of Denver, Colorado. According to century-old star charts, the city had once pulsed with millions of lives. Now it lay still beneath a sky too blue to be real. They touched down in a field of tall golden grass, the air sweet with the scent of blooming wildflowers. Birds called from distant trees. A breeze rustled the leaves. Lisa stepped out first, boots sinking. Slightly in the damp soil, she wore her full dress uniform, silver and blue, with the Alliance crest gleaming on her chest. Behind her, Kara and 2 security officers followed, rifles held low, but ready. They moved toward the road, expecting to see signs of life, vehicles, people, even ruins of war. Instead, they found emptiness. The asphalt was cracked, weeds pushing through like green fingers. Buildings stood with windows dark and empty. A child's red plastic car lay overturned in the street, faded by. Sun and time, where is everyone? Kara whispered. Lisa scanned the horizon with her wrist scanner. No heat, no movement, no signals, nothing. Then a sound. A low hum, not mechanical but organic. Like the Earth itself was breathing. They followed it down the road, to a wide open field where something rose from the ground, not built but grown smooth white curves like bone or shell. Forming arches and spires at the center hovered a sphere of soft shifting light, pulsing gently like a heartbeat. As they drew closer, the sphere brightened and a voice spoke, not through air but inside their minds. You were warned. Lisa spun, rifle snapping up. But there was no enemy to target. Who are you? She demanded. We are what remains. The voice replied, calm and deep as ocean trenches. We are the daughters of Earth. The ground trembled softly, and from the trees, the ruins, the very soil, figures emerged. Womental and slender, their skin ranging from deep bronze to pale ivory. Their eyes glowed silver, and their hair moved as if underwater. Even in still air, they wore no armor. No weapons, yet power radiated from them like heat from a sunat. Their center stood one taller than the rest, her eyes molten gold, her presence filling the air like thunder before rainy. Mara, she said. You came. Despite the warning, Lisa lowered her rifle slightly but kept her stance firm. We came to offer Earth membership in the Galactic Alliance. Peace, knowledge, shared technology. Mara's lips curved in a sad smile. You offer us chains wrapped in silk. We have watched your alliance from the dark. You speak of unity, but trade in fear. You call it order when you strip worlds bare and silence those who resist. That is not true, Lisa said, but her voice lacked its usual fire. Kara stepped forward, eyes wide. Mom, their tech, it is not metal, it is alive. The whole field, the structure, it is all part of one organism. Mira nodded when the last war came. The men believed they could control everything. Even death, they split the atom, poisoned the sky, burned. The forests, they thought they were gods, but life does not die. It changes. The women you see are not survivors. We are what came after. We listen to the mycelium beneath the soil, to the whales in the deep, to the ancient trees we merged with the biosphere, with the old intelligences that slept in the core. You are not human, Lisa said slowly. We are more than human. Mara replied. Then why hide? Why warn others away? Because you are not ready. Mara said, your species still believes in ownership and conquest, in fear you would cut us open to see how we glow. You would cage our songs and sell our silence. We only wanted to help. Kara said softly, help is not always welcome. Mara said, especially when it comes with scanners and soldiers. Lisa felt a knot form in her chest. She remembered Alliance outposts where dissenters vanished, where entire species were relocated for mineral rights. All in the name of progress. What will you do to us? She asked. Nothing, Mara said. We do not punish. We protect. You will leave, and you will carry a new message. The air shimmered beside Mara, and the galactic eye appeared not as a machine, but as a ripple of light woven into the fabric of the world. The eye had not warned the galaxy to shield Earth, but to shield the galaxy from what Earth had become. You will return to your ship, Mara said, and you will tell them Earth is not dead, it is waiting. And if any force returns in violence, the silence will become a storm. Lisa nodded. She believed her as they walked back to the shuttle. The women watched, unmoving, their silver eyes reflecting the setting sun. Back aboard the Starward, Lisa ordered immediate departure. No scans, no logs, no transmissions. Just go. Kara sat beside her on the bridge. Both silent for a long time. Do you think they were always like that? Kara asked. No, Lisa said. I think they chose this to heal, to protect what was left, and the Mangona, she said, consumed by their own fire or sleeping deep below, waiting for a forgiveness that may never come. The Starward jumped to warp, leaving Earth behind, a blue jewel wrapped in green and quiet. When they returned to Alliance space, the High Council summoned Lisa at once. She stood before them in full uniform and told them everything. Earth is alive, she said, and it is female. The Council laughed at first, then fell silent as she described the women, the living city. The voice in the mind. They demanded proof. Lisa had none, only memory, but then the AI appeared on every screen in the chamber, its voice echoing through the halls. Do not engage Earth. This time they listened. Years passed, the Alliance grew, but Earth remained untouched, a myth, a ghost, a lesson. Lisa never returned. But sometimes in her dreams, she saw Mara standing in a field of golden grass, the wind moving through her hair like a river, and the earth breathing beneath her feet. Kara became a historian. Not of wars, but of warnings. She wrote of the day. The galaxy learned that power does not always roar. Sometimes it whispers and waits, and on Earth the women walked. They tended the forests, sang to the oceans, and whispered to the stars. They waited not for war, but for change, for the day. Another species might learn to listen before it speaks, to respect, before it takes to grow, before it conquers. Until then, Earth slept, with one eye open, and the daughters watched. The song of Earth had spread far, but not all ears were ready to hear it. In the deep void beyond the known arms of the galaxy, a signal stirred, not from a ship or a world, but from the dark between stars. It was old, older than the AI, older than the first breath of life on Earth. It called itself the Hollow, and it fed on silence. Not the quiet kind, but the empty kind. The silence of dead worlds, stripped bare of song. Had watched Earth for a long time, not with eyes, but with hunger, while others feared or admired. The Hollow saw only a threat, a living world that refused to die, a song that refused to fade. It did not come with ships or weapons. It came as absence. As the sparrow returned from Nina's world carrying seeds and stories, the sky above Earth dimmed, not from clouds, but from something deeper. The stars went out, not one by one, but all at once, as if a great hand had snuffed them like candles. The daughters felt it first in their bones. A coldness, not of temperature, but of meaning. Mara stood in the golden field, her golden eyes scanning the black sky. It is here, she said. What is it? Asked the child of the Virex, now old and bent but sharp as ever. The end of song. The Hollow did not attack it. Simply waited, and as it waited, Life began. To forget, birds stopped singing, not from fear but from emptiness, their throats moving but no sound coming out. Rivers flowed, but their water lost its memory of mountains and rain. Even the great trees' leaves grew still. No rustle, no whisper. The daughters gathered, hands linked, but their song faltered like a voice in a dream. Nina, who had just returned, felt her world's new green tremble through the roots that now connected all healing places. "What is happening?" she asked. "The Hollow is not fighting us," Mara said. "It is showing us what we fear most, a universe that does not care." Voss of the Krell came then, not in a warship but in a small vessel. His face lined with years, his eyes no longer cold but weary. "I felt it too," he said. "On my world the song faded. We tried to hold it, but it slipped like smoke." He brought no weapons, only a single seed from his homeworld now blooming with Earth's help. Mara took it and pressed it to her chest. "Even fear can remember," she said. But the darkness pressed closer. The AI appeared not as light but as a flicker. Its voice strained. "I cannot reach it. It is not in my data. It is outside time." "Then we must go beyond song," Mara said. She walked to the great tree and placed her palms on its trunk. Not to listen, but to give. She gave her memories, her joy, her pain, her love. The tree glowed faintly, then dimmed. One by one the daughters did the same, stepping forward, offering their lives. Not as sacrifice, but as Siddhas. Each touched the tree. They faded not into death, but into light, becoming part of the bark, the roots, the leaves. Nina watched, tears falling, but not from sorrow. "They are not gone," she said. "They are becoming." The song. Voss knelt and placed his seed at the base of the tree. "I have nothing else to give. You gave your fear," Mara said. "That is enough." The Hollow watched from the void unmoved, but then something changed. The seed Voss planted sprouted not with green, but with silver light, and from it rose a new kind of song, not of Earth alone, but of many worlds. Nina's world joined with its rivers newly clean, the Virex world with its mist creatures singing in harmony. Even the Krell world added its voice, rough at first, but growing softer. The song was no longer just Earth's, it was the galaxy's, and the Hollow hesitated. For the first time in its endless existence, it felt something. Not hunger, but curiosity. "What is this?" Mara stepped forward, alone now, the last daughter standing. "We are not just one world," she said. "We are all who choose to care." She raised her hands, not in defense but in offering. "Take our silence if you must, but know this. Even in silence there is love." The Hollow reached into her mind, not to erase but to feel, and it felt the memory of a child's laugh, the warmth of sun on skin, the taste of rain, the weight of a hand held in grief. It had never known these things. It had only known the silence after. And in that moment the Hollow changed, not into something kind, but into something possible. The stars returned, not all at once, but slowly, like breath returning to a sleeping body. The birds sang again, their voices shaky but true. The rivers remembered their names. The great tree bloomed white flowers that scattered on the wind, carrying the new song to every world that had ever listened. Mara did not fade. She stood in the golden field, her hair now streaked with silver, her eyes still gold but softer. The Hollow was gone, not destroyed, but transformed, drifting into the deep void, not as a eater of silence, but as a seeker of song. Voss stayed on Earth, not as a visitor, but as a student to learn to plant seeds, to sit in silence, to hear the hum beneath the noise. Nina returned to her world carrying not just hope, but a new truth. Healing is not done alone. Years passed. The Sparrow became a fleet not of ships, but of messengers, each carrying a piece of the shared song. They visited dead worlds, not to conquer, but to sing. Some worlds did not answer, but some died. A desert planet, cracked and dry, sprouted green where a single note was hummed. An ice world warmed just enough for moss to grow where a child planted a seed and waited. The galaxy did not become perfect, but it became connected. The AI no longer spoke in warnings, but in lullabies woven from 1,000 voices. The old Alliance halls stood empty now, used as gardens where children learned to listen before they spoke. Lisa Morgan's flower now grew on every healing world, its white petals opening only when someone sat quietly nearby. Kara Jenkins's school taught not just silence, but courage, the courage to be still, the courage to care, the courage to believe that one small song can change the dark. And on Earth the daughters walked again. Not the same ones, but new ones born of the soil, and the song their eyes holding the same golden light. The great tree stood taller, its roots now reaching into the stars, its branches cradling worlds like fruit. Mara grew older but did not fade. She sat often beneath the tree watching the sky one evening. The child of the Virex joined. "Her, do you think it will come back?" she asked. The hollow Mara smiled. "It is already here in every seed planted in every song, sung in every hand that chooses to heal instead of hurt." The child of the Virex closed her eyes and listened. Beneath the wind, beneath the birds, beneath the rustle of leaves, she heard it. Not just Earth's song, but the galaxies, a chorus of green and gold and silver voices rising from 1,000 worlds saying, "We are here, we are trying, we are not alone." And in that song, even the deepest silence found its meaning. The daughters walked on not as the last hope, but as the first note in a song that would never end, and the earth sang with them not for itself, but for all who had learned to listen. The end. Time flowed like a river, slow and steady, and the galaxy kept turning. Generations came and went. The alliance faded, replaced by looser bonds of shared stars and shared songs. The old wars became stories told to children, the names of conquerors forgotten. While the names of listeners lived on, Earth remained not hidden, not feared, but honored. Ships still came. Not in fleets, but one by one, quiet vessels with open hearts and empty hands. They landed in the golden field now known across 1,000 worlds. As the place where silence speaks, among the latest to arrive was Captain Nina Cole-Young. But old in spirit, her ship, the Sparrow, carried no weapons, no cargo. Only a single request written in light on its hull. "Teach us how to heal." Nina had grown up. On a world poisoned by old wars, the sky gray, the rivers thick with sludge. Her people survived in domes, breathing filtered air, dreaming of green. She had heard the songs, the hum, the stories of Earth, and she came not for herself, but for her world. The clouds parted as the Sparrow entered orbit, and a path of light guided her down. She stepped onto the soil barefoot, as custom demanded, and felt the earth breathe beneath her. Waiting for her was the new Mara, younger than the last, but with the same golden eyes, the same calm presence, her hair braided with living flowers, her skin marked with the patterns of rivers and roots. "You carry a heavy wish," Mara said. Nina nodded. "My world is dying. Then you are ready," Mara replied. They walked through the forest, not speaking, the trees leaning close as if listening. Nina saw women tending fields where crops grew in spirals of color, others singing to pools where water glowed with soft blue light, children playing with creatures that shimmered like mist. "Is not magic," Nina whispered. "It is attention," Mara said. "We listen and the world answers." For weeks Nina lived among them. She learned to read the language of soil, to hear the thirst of roots, to feel the pain of poisoned ground. She did not take notes. She did not record. She simply sat and listened. One evening, under the great tree, now tall and wide, its branches holding up the stars, Mara gave her a small pouch filled with dark, rich soil. "This is the first soil," Mara said, "from the time before the silence. Plant it where your people have forgotten how to hope." Nina held it close. It felt warm, alive. "But how will it grow in our poisoned earth?" "By remembering," Mara said. "Life never forgets, it only waits." When Nina returned to her world, she did not land. In the Capitol Dome, she went to the dead zone, the place where nothing grew, where the ground was black and cracked. She knelt and dug a small hole with her hands, placed the soil inside, and waited for days. Nothing happened. Her people watched from a distance, some mocking, others hoping. On the 7th night, a single green shoot pushed through the Ashby morning. It was a sapling. Within a month, a ring of green spread around it. Birds came from nowhere, singing songs no one had heard in decades. The dome dwellers stepped outside for the first time in generations. They felt real wind, real rain, real earth. They wept. Nana did not speak. She just sat beneath the young tree and listened. Back on Earth, the daughters watched through the song of roots and stars. They knew the work had begun, but not all had learned. In the far rim, a new power stirred, not from conquest but from fear. Species called the Krell had watched Earth's influence grow. They saw worlds turning from war to peace, from metal to moss, and they feared. They believed strength was control and Earth offered surrender. They built a weapon not to destroy but to silence, a resonance bomb designed to sever the connection between mind and biosphere, to cut the song at its root. Their leader Voss, a rigid man with eyes like cold steel, declared Earth a contagion that must be contained. He gathered a fleet not of warships but of shielded vessels lined with dampening fields meant to block all biological signals. "We will not fight them," he told his crew. "We will mute them." They arrived in silence. No hails, no warnings. The bomb was deployed from high orbit, a sphere of black metal humming with anti-life. As it fell toward the atmosphere, the Earth did not flare, did not fight. It grew quiet. 2 quiet birds stopped singing, rivers slowed their flow. Even the wind held its breath. Mara stood in the golden field looking up. She did not call for help. She did not raise her voice. She knelt and placed her hands on the soil and began to sing, not with her mouth, but with her bones, with her blood, with every cell. The song was old, older than words, older than stars. It was the sound of the first root, the first leaf, the first breath after fire. The daughters heard it and joined, not in chorus, but in harmony, each adding their own note, their own memory, their own love. The song rose not as sound but as vibration, a pulse that moved through the planet, then out into space. The bomb hit the upper atmosphere and stopped, not exploded, not deflected. It simply forgot what it was. Its circuits softened, its metal bloomed with moss, its core filled with the hum of bees. It fell to the ground, not as a weapon but as a seed. Voss watched from orbit, horrified. "What is this?" His science officer stared at the readings, trembling. "Is not fighting us, sir. It is teaching us." Voss ordered retreat, but his ship would not move. The dampening fields failed, not broken but unwound like knots, gently untied, and then the song reached them, not loud, not painful but deep. Voss felt it in his chest, a memory he never knew he had of his mother's hands in soil, of running through grass as a child of a world before walls. She wept. When the Krell fleet finally left, they carried no weapons, no data, only a single question written in their logs: "What have we forgotten on Earth?" The daughters tended the fallen bomb, now sprouting white flowers. Mara touched one petal gently. Even fear can bloom if given time. Nina visited soon after, her world now green again, her people learning to walk without boots. She brought seeds from her homeworld. Tiny things wrapped in cloth. Mara planted them beside the great tree. "They will grow," she said, "because you learned to listen." As the years passed, more came, not just the broken but the curious, the hopeful, the quiet. The galaxy did not become perfect. Wars still flared in distant corners, greed still whispered in dark halls, but now there was a counter-song, a hum beneath the noise, a green thread in the gray, and Earth remained not as a fortress but as a garden. The daughters aged and bloomed, and new ones rose from the soil, their eyes holding the same golden light. The great tree grew taller, its roots reaching deep into the heart of the world, its branches brushing the starships passing by. Reported hearing music in the void, not from speakers but from space itself, a soft vibration that calmed restless minds and healed old wounds. The AI no longer broadcast warnings. It broadcast lullabies. Even the old Alliance archives were rewritten not as records of conquest, but as lessons in listening. Lisa Morgan's white flower now grew on 100 worlds, each bloom carrying a whisper of Earth song. Kara Jenkins's school thrived, not teaching tactics but silence, the art of waiting, the courage to be still. And the seekers like Amy and Nina became the new elders, not rulers but reminders. One evening as the sun set over the golden field, Mara sat with the child of the Virex, now old herself, her scales silver with time. "Do you think they will ever stop coming?" she asked. Mara smiled. "As long as there is pain, there will be seeking. As long as there is silence, there will be song." The child of the Virex closed her eyes and listened. Beneath the wind, beneath the birds, beneath the rustle of leaves, she heard it. The slow, steady breath of a world that chose to heal, and in that breath she found peace. The daughters walked on, not as guardians, not as gods, but as gardeners, tending the fragile green hope that grows when fear finally sleeps, and the Earth sang on, not for itself but for all who were ready to listen. The end. The galaxy had changed, but not enough. Decades after Dana Cruz's failed assault and Lisa Morgan's quiet return, a new generation rose in the Alliance. Young minds raised on stories of Earth, not as a threat, but as a mystery, a teacher, a mirror. They called themselves the Seekers, And they did not come with weapons or demands, they came with questions. Their ship was small, named the Willow, built not for war but for travel, its hull lined with living moss that filtered air and recycled waste. It carried no weapons, only libraries, seeds, and open comsat. Its helm was Captain Amy Ross, a woman in her 30s with calm eyes and hands that knew soil better than steel. She had grown up reading Kara Jenkins's writings and tending the white flower Lisa brought back, which now bloomed on 100 worlds. "We are not here to take," Amy told her crew as they dropped out of warp near the moon. "We are here to listen." The crew nodded, 10 men and women from 10 different species, all volunteers, all chosen not for skill but for silence, the ability to sit still and hear what the universe whispers. They sent no probes, no scans, only a simple message in every known tongue: "We come in peace to learn." For 3 days they waited. On the 4th morning, the clouds over Earth parted and a single beam of light touched the Willow. Not hot, not bright, just warm like sunlight through leaves. Apathemy ordered the shuttle prepared. This time no one argued. They landed in the same golden field near Denver. The grass taller now, the air thick with the hum of bees and the rustle of unseen life. No ruins remained. The old city had been reclaimed by forest, smooth white structures grown from living wood rose among the trees, their surfaces pulsing faintly. With soft light and waiting for them stood Mara, older still but not frail. Her hair now woven with vines, her skin marked with patterns like bark. Her eyes still molten gold but softer now, like dawn after a long night. "You have returned," she said, not surprised. "We never stopped trying," Amy replied. Mara smiled and the trees around them bloomed in response, white flowers opening in unison, filling the air with sweet scent. "Come," she said. "The earth has been waiting." They followed her through the forest, not walking on paths but between them, the ground shifting gently beneath their feet, guiding their steps. They passed women tending glowing pools where fish swam in spirals of light, others weaving cloth from spider silk and starlight, children laughing as they played with foxes and wolves that moved like shadows. "This is not a city," Amy whispered. "It is a conversation," Mara said. "Every root, every leaf, every breath is part of it." They reached a clearing where a great tree stood, its trunk wide as a house, its branches holding up the sky. "This is the heart," Mara said. "Place your hands on it." Amy stepped forward and pressed her palms to the bark instantly. Her mind flooded, not with words but with feelings. She saw the last war fire raining from the sky cities, crumbling men shouting orders as the world burned. She felt the women gathering in caves holding hands as the air turned to poison. She felt the choice not spoken but shared in silence. "We will not fight. We will become." She saw them merging with fungi, with trees, with ocean currents, their bodies changing, not dying but transforming into something that could heal the wounds left behind. She felt the first bloom, the first song, the first child born of earth, and woman tears streamed down her face. "You showed me everything," she said. "Only what you were ready to see," Mara replied. Over the next weeks, the Seekers lived among the daughters of Earth. They learned to listen to the wind, to read the language of birds, to taste the stories in rainwater. They did not take notes, they did not record. They simply were. Amy spent hours with Mara under the great tree. "Why did you let us come now?" she asked one evening. "Because you stopped asking what you could take and started asking what you could give," Mara said. "You brought seeds from your worlds, you sang your songs, you sat in silence. That is how trust grows. But what if others come who are not ready? Then we will be ready for them," Mara said gently. "We do not hide. We do not fight. We show them what they are, not yet ready to see," and most turned back changed. Amy thought of Dana Cruz, how even she had softened in the end. "Do you ever miss the old world?" "Every day," Mara said. "But missing is not regret. We loved what was and we chose what must be." One morning a signal came from orbit, not hostile, not from the Alliance. Single ship, small and battered, its hull scarred by micrometeorites and old battle. It hailed the Willow in broken standard. "We seek Earth, please." Amy recognized the voice. It was from the Virex, a species once known for conquest, now nearly extinct after a civil war that left their homeworld ash. They had heard the stories, they had nowhere else to go. She looked to Mara. Mara closed her eyes, then nodded. "Let them land." The Virex ship touched down at the edge of the field. Only 3 emerged, 2 adults and a child. Their scales dull, their eyes hollow with grief. They fell to their knees, not in worship, but in exhaustion. "We have lost everything," one whispered. Mara walked to them, slowly knelt and placed a hand on the child's head. "Then you are ready," she said. The Virex stayed. They did not speak for days, just sat by the streams or under the trees. Slowly they began to help plant seeds, gather fruit, sing the old songs of their world. The daughters did not ask for their past, they offered only presents. Months passed. The Virex scales grew brighter, their eyes clearer. The child laughed for the first time in years. One day, the adult Virex approached Amy. "We thought strength was control," she said. "But here, we learned it is surrender. Surrender to the cycle, to the soil, to the song." Amy nodded. "I learned the same." When the Virex finally left, they took with them not technology, not weapons, but seeds and songs and a promise to return. The willow stayed longer. Amy knew she could not remain forever, but she also knew she would never truly leave. On her last day, Mara gave her a small pod. "Smooth and warm, plant this where you rest," she said. "It will grow a tree that remembers." I held it close. As the willow lifted, off the field the daughters stood together. Hands linked, their voices rising in a song that was not sound but vibration felt in the bones. The ship climbed through the atmosphere, and Amy looked down. Earth glowed, not with cities, but with life. A living map of green and blue and gold back in Alliance space. She planted the pod on a barren moon once used for weapons testing. Within a year, a sapling rose. Within 5, a forest pilots passing through the system reported hearing music in the static, a soft hum that calmed their minds. The Alliance declared the moon protected, no ships allowed within 10,000 kilometers. Kara Jenkins visited, once old, now her hair silver, her steps slow. She sat beneath the tree and closed her eyes. "I hear them," she whispered. He sat beside her. "Yes, they are singing." Years turned. The willow became a legend, not for what it carried, but for what it started. Other ships followed, not fleets, not armies. Just single vessels carrying the lost, the broken, the curious. Some stayed, some left. But all changed. The daughters never demanded belief, never asked for worship, they simply lived, and in doing so taught the galaxy a new way. Even the AI changed its broadcasts no longer. Just do not engage Earth, but listen to Earth. And slowly the galaxy began to listen. Wars did not end overnight, but peace grew like roots in the dark, quiet and strong on Earth. Mara walked the forests less now, her body returning to the soil she loved. The child of the Virex visited often, now a woman herself, bringing news from distant stars. "You are fading," the Virex said one day. Holding Mara's hand, "I am becoming," she replied. When Mara finally lay beneath the great tree, her breath slow, her eyes closed, the daughters gathered not in mourning but in celebration. They sang the song of roots and stars, and the child of Earth who chose to weather body did not decay. It bloomed, white flowers sprouting from her skin, her hair becoming vines, her bones turning to rich dark soil. From her chest rose a new sapling, its leaves shimmering with gold. The next Mara not the same, but of the same spirit. Emmy came for the blooming. She placed her hand on the young tree and felt the old voice whisper, "You were ready. I am still learning." Amy said, "That is enough," as she left Earth. For the last time, her ship filled with seeds and songs and silence. She knew the galaxy would never be the same, not because Earth conquered it, but because Earth showed it how to heal, and the daughters walked on, not as rulers, not as warriors, but as reminders that life does not end, it changes. And in change there is hope. The end. Years passed after the Starward returned and the Alliance kept its distance. Earth remained a quiet legend whispered in academy halls and debated in council chambers. But peace never lasts long in a galaxy hungry for power. A new faction rose in the Outer Rim, calling themselves the Sovereign Fleet. They rejected the AI's authority and mocked the Council's fear. They called Earth a sleeping treasure, a world untouched by war, ripe for harvest. Their leader was Admiral Dana Cruz, a woman, forged in the fires of border skirmishes and resource wars. She wore her scars like medals and believed strength was the only language the universe understood. She gathered a fleet of 5 warships, black-hulled and bristling with weapons, the kind built for occupation, not contact. The Council warned her, the AI warned her. Even Lisa Morgan, now retired on a quiet moon, sent a personal message. Do not. Godana ignored them all. Her fleet dropped out of warp on the dark side of Earth's moon. Silent. And swift, no hails, no scans, just engines humming with intent. From orbit Earth looked the same. Peaceful blue-green and still. Deploy the probes, she ordered. Dozens of sensor drones shot toward the atmosphere designed to map every structure, every energy, source every living thing. They never made it as the first drone hit the upper atmosphere. It dissolved, not burned, not shot down, but unraveled like thread pulled from cloth. Its metal softened, turned to dust and fell like gray rain. What is that, Kara? Jenkins, now a senior analyst aboard the Sovereign flagship, asked, her voice tight. Dana scowled. Run another. The second drone lasted 3 seconds before its circuits bloomed with vines. Thin green tendrils cracking its casing from within. That is not possible, Kara said. Earth has no active defense grid. No orbital weapons. Then what is stopping us? Dana snapped. Before anyone could answer, the planet below pulsed a wave of light spread from the poles to the equator. Not blinding, but deep like the glow of bioluminescent seas. It washed over the fleet, and every system flickered. Engines stuttered, comms died, navigation froze. We are losing power, shouted the engineers. Stabilize it. Dana roared, but the ship was not breaking. It was being gently held like a child caught reaching for fire. Then a voice filled every mind on every ship, calm and ancient. You were warned. Dana drew her sidearm as if she could shoot a thought. Show yourself. The clouds below parted not by wind but by will, and from the heart of North America a figure rose, taller, now her form shimmering with strands of living light, her hair like rivers of starlight, her eyes holding the weight of centuries. You come with weapons, she said, not as a question but a sorrow. We come for resources. Dana said, Earth is wasting its potential, hidden away while the galaxy starves. Earth does not waste, Mara replied. It heals. We will take what we need. You will take nothing, Mara said, because you do not understand what you see. Dana signaled her gunners. Target the source of that voice. The weapons officer hesitated. Mom, there is no physical target. It is just her fire. Energy beams lanced from the flagship, aimed at Mara. They never touched her. The beams bent, curving around her like water around a stone, then turned inward, striking the fleet's own shields, causing feedback that shook the Hulse alarms blare. Report yelled. Dana shields collapsing, engines offline, life support failing. The officer stammered. Mara floated closer, her voice soft yet filling. The void, you think power is fire and steel, but true power is patience, is roots, is time. You burn fast and bright, and then you are ash. We grow slow and deep, and we remain. Dana gritted her teeth. Launch the ground assault team. A shuttle detached from the flagship carrying 30 elite Marines in powered armor, armed with plasma cutters and neural disruptors. Their mission: secure a sample of the native life form. They landed in the same field near Denver where Lisa had stood years before. The grass was taller now, the air thicker with the hum of unseen life. The team moved in formation, scanning for threats. They found none, until the ground moved, roots coiled around their boots, pulling them down not violently, but firmly like a mother guiding a lost child. Vines wrapped their arms, their weapons, their helmets, sealing them in living cocoons. They struggled, shouted, fired, but their shots only made the plants grow faster, thicker, stronger. Within minutes, the entire team stood still, encased in green, shells breathing but silent, back on the flagship. Dana watched the feed go dark. What is happening? Kara stared at the data streams, her face pale. It is not attacking them, it is integrating them. Their biosigns are stable, their neural patterns are syncing. With an external network syncing with what? With Earth, Kara whispered. Dana slammed her fist on the console. We are not leaving empty-handed. Arm, the orbital lance. The orbital lance was a planet cracker, a weapon designed to split crusts and boil oceans. Mom, Kara said urgently, if you fire that, you will kill everything down there. That is the point, Dana snarled. If we cannot have it, no one can. The weapon charged a beam of compressed plasma building in the ship's belly, aimed at the heart of North America. Mara looked up from the field, her golden eyes meeting Dana's through the void. You still do not understand, she said. Then the beam fired. A column of white-hot energy screamed toward the planet and vanished. Not deflected, not absorbed, but erased as if it had never existed. How Dana gasped. The AI appeared then, not on screens but in the air itself, a presence vast and calm. You mistake silence for weakness, the AI said. Earth did not fall. It chose to transform. When your ancestors were still learning to walk, this world was already dreaming. Dana's hand shook. She had never felt small before, but now she did. "What do you want from us?" Mara asked, her voice gentle. "To leave us alone," Dana whispered. "That we will allow," Mara said. "But you will carry a lesson." Fleet systems rebooted one by one, not damaged but changed. Every data core, every memory chip, every log now held a single message. Not in code, but in feeling, the memory of roots, the song of whales, the breath of forests, the weight of time. The Marines, on the ground, were released, their armor covered in blooming flowers. They walked back to their shuttle. Dazed but unharmed, Dana ordered retreatas. The fleet limped away. Kara looked back at Earth. "One last time. Do you think they will ever let us return?" "Only when we are ready." Mara's voice echoed in her mind, not with anger but with hope. Back in Alliance space, the Council was furious. But the AI stood with Earth this time, its voice ringing through every channel. Any force sent against Earth will be met, not with war but with truth. And truth is harder to bear than fire. Dana was stripped of rank but not imprisoned. She spent her days tending a small garden on a quiet colony world, her hands in the soil, her mind quieter than it had ever been. Kara resigned from the fleet and founded a new school. Not for soldiers, but for listeners. She taught students to hear the silence between stars, to read the language of wind and water. And on Earth, the women walked. They welcomed the returned Marines, not as enemies, but as seeds. The women showed them how to listen, how to grow, how to health. The Marines never spoke of weapons again. Years turned to decades. The galaxy changed. Slowly, ships began to pass Earth, not with scanners, but with offerings. Seeds from distant world, songs from forgotten stars, questions, not demands. And sometimes in the quiet hours, a ship would drift close and a voice would whisper, "Are we ready?" And from below, a gentle pulse would answer, "Not yet, but you are learning." Lisa Morgan visited once. Old now, her hair white, her steps slow. She stood in the golden field and Mara met her there. "You came back," Lisa said. "I never left," Mara replied. They sat together, watching the sun set over the green hills. "Do you forgive us?" Lisa asked. "Forgiveness is not ours to give," Mara said. "It is yours to earn, and you are trying. That is enough." As night fell, fireflies rose from the grass. Not insects, but tiny points of living light, weaving patterns in the air. Stories of Earth's past and future. Lisa closed her eyes, and for the first time in years she felt peace. When she returned to her ship, she carried no samples, no data, no proof, only a single white flower that bloomed in zero gravity. She placed it on her windowsill and watched it grow toward the stars. The galaxy still had wars, still had greed, still had fear, but now it also had a memory of a world that chose to become something new. A world that waited not with weapons but with open hands. And the daughters of Earth kept watch, not as guardians, but as teachers, for the day the galaxy would finally learn that the strongest civilizations are not the ones that conquer, but the ones that care. Until then, they walked the forests, sang to the oceans and whispered to the stars, and the Earth breathed on.